G'day traders, working to wrap up the market for Wednesday the 11th of July. So on the daily charts here you can see we're getting some nice support off this support line that we've drawn in here. So this line's been drawn there for quite a while, and it's amazing how these support and resistance lines keep on holding up these markets. So just to kind of put it in a bit more perspective here, it's, remembering we had really decent fall on Mondays. It's typical of these markets, they tend to really trend maybe about a third of the time, and then the rest of the time they tend to just go back to within that trend and hover around. And you can see that's the case. We're hitting these support levels, and it's just kind of bouncing around on an intraday level. There's still plenty of movement, but it's movement that's both directions, which is fantastic as far as day trading opportunities. And here's where it eventually came down after this news announcement, and 1327 was the exact support level. So you can see how close it's come and got that support. Now we've got the continuation of these buyers pushing through. Look at the pre-market now that they're hanging above this level. So what they should do is try and hold that level and not really come back and fall below that again and go back up higher. If all of a sudden we see them get back underneath that level, then that's just going to really change the dynamics of the market, and we could see some more sellers come in. So as far as this morning goes, this first area here was quite choppy, but there was certainly like most times, there's always a method to the madness, and it was sort of following some direction, but there was certainly a bit of choppy, and you can see right up until that news announcement, it did stick quite within a range, and that quite often what happens is this is the FOMC minutes meeting at this area here. So when it's not the most major announcement of the year, but it's a fairly major one. So typically when that sort of thing happens, you do get this dealing sideways as people don't really want to participate, and then all of a sudden the announcement comes up, and quite often you can get a reaction to that. So what happens is we went sideways at the start here. The 1 minute chart shows a bit better over here. You can see really quite a sideways range, and we got back up above that area, pulled back, held off that support, and then tried to go higher again. Looked like the markets might from there be the area that they might hold and go higher from, but it reverted back in the range. Just didn't have that momentum to continue on with it, like we said, maybe because of the announcement. Traders weren't confident to keep going with the direction. It's then come back pretty quickly and made new lows, not with any sort of power or anything like that, but then it's popped up here and looked like potentially having another go at the downside. But as it came back down here, all the other markets really started to change the momentum. It became quite obvious that they're running out of power on the downside, and looked like they're going to have a run back up to the highs. That's exactly what they've done here, and you can see again a fairly congested area, but within that congested area there's a trend. Go up, there's momentum, it comes back, it holds off support level, and it's pushing and looking to go back to the highs again. From there, again it went a little bit sideways. This was sort of a selling formation on the downside here. You can see it's popped up, it's failed to make higher highs, and we're starting to build some pressure on the downside. News announcement might have changed this area. From here it could have possibly held about here and gone lower again. Expected that sort of thing to happen, but it's just popped up temporarily, and then it's shot down because of that news announcement. And from there, then quite an unpredictable area. You can see these candles really quite large and makes trading quite difficult. The significant thing is it did come down, and that support line on the daily charts did manage to hold. From there they started heading back up, straight back to where they basically started the day. So on the 1 minute chart, so here's this sideways period here. So quite often, and if you go back over and look at this week, you'll notice this happened on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. The market's kind of gone sideways. It's picked a direction. So in this case it's the upside. Picked a direction. It's come back to the top of that sideways range and then held and continued with that direction. This particular one didn't go a long way, but you can still see a breakout, come back, and then a small continuation of the direction. Same thing on Tuesday, however, it was on the downside, dealt sideways, came to the bottom of that range and pushed down, and same thing on Monday. It was a same formation on the downside, but that blueprint or that formation will happen many times. It's quite a reliable formation. So yeah, we pop back here, put some pressure on the upside here. So quite often these fades, especially if the other market's really pushing higher and looking to go, this fade here can be quite a good one. This grey, once it picks a direction. However, this particular one has turned the market around. From here, this power fade here, I didn't mind this as an area for the market to go down. What was happening is through here there was a bit of a holding formation. So up what I'd say leading up to it, I thought these markets had potential to go up, that's for sure, certainly thinking that. But then all of a sudden around here, things started to change, and you can see from here it's starting to push lower. When it's coming back, it's kind of been contained within its highs, and then all of a sudden this kind of momentum that's going in this 45-degree angle upwards has been broken, and some power back to the downside from there. It's got its momentum and it's come down and broken its lows. Once we got down to these lows here, looking for it to pop up here and see what it wants to do, whether it wants to come back and break again, go lower, or start heading to the upside. So when it turned around here and it started coming down here, it became quite evident, like I was saying before on the 5-minute chart, watching the other markets and just watching some of the way the market was behaving. Again, it was kind of holding up at this 34.50 area, and it became quite evident that the market was trying to push its way up and didn't really want to go back down and have a look at these lows again. That's exactly what happens. It's got that momentum back to the upside. We started to come into this lunchtime period. This area here, you can see on the 5-minute chart, this is where the fade was to buy and head up, and in the end, not a too bad of an area, but you can see it's kind of pushed up and then it's bounced off this real level here, this support level, so it's got through it, come back and held it, and then pushed higher. From there it pushed higher, but then failed to really break those highs, and that was kind of looked like the end of it as it started to push down here. And again, you're just watching this formation, watching price action, and everything started to really look like it was heading down. So what I look for in this area here, first thing is trend up, hold off to support, pushing higher, looking for the buyers to continue. Failed to push higher here, came back, tried to go again, failed to push higher. Watching this market and seeing how then all of a sudden there's this pressure down right here. So that's evidence that we're probably going to get a sell-off. So if this market all of a sudden start heading up, then so be it. But what I'm starting to think now is sell side, and then this area here is quite significant. So once it gets below that lows, it's kind of, you want it just to confirm there, and then maybe even pop back up in the range a little bit, and then get a continuation in the sell side. So that's something I certainly saw coming. It started to head that way. It's temporarily popped back up again with regards to this news announcement, and then again it's pushed down, and then from there you can see just really very tough markets to trade. It's personally with limited stops, and each of these candles being bigger than the stops, it's a very dangerous area to trade. But and then here's this low that they've held off the support level on the daily charts, and then 1, 2, 3, like we got about 10, 12 power points hit in a very small space of time as the market got really quite volatile. But anyway guys, that's a wrap up for Wednesday, and I'll speak to you guys on Thursday.